Lord and Miller are off the Han Solo movie with Ron Howard stepping in, and now there's new details surrounding the movie. Overall, I don't have a good feeling about this. So, we learned last week that Ron Howard is taking over. There were some false reports that the crew started clapping wildly when they found out.
Right.
That turned out to not be true. However, there's new details coming out about
Lord and Miller.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I got it backwards.
Yeah.
So they're well known for doing 21 Jump Street, the Lego movie.
Yep. Cloudy with a Chance.
Of Meatballs.
Yep.
One of my favorite canceled shows, Clone High.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
It's good in a 90s way.
Gotcha.
And it came out that they were actually fired. They didn't really make this choice on their own.
Yes. So this was one of those movies, it seems, where the powers that be at Disney, who now own Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy, who is one of
among them.
She's the best, one of the best producers of all time. You know, most accomplished, successful producer of all time. It seemed like there was a question. How different from the normal Star Wars feel are we going to make this Han Solo movie? Because they went with the Cloudy with the Chance and Meatballs thing. Or at least it's a big question that you ask yourself when you're in charge of a major franchise like Star Wars that has had very public missteps. Like, how willing are we to take a risk? And it seemed like they signed up Lord and Miller to take that risk, saying they did 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, some of the most commercially successful films for the buck in a while, and it has like the specific these irreverent voices in it. Like Han Solo is an irreverent scamp. And so it seemed like they wanted that formula, but as it started panning out and as they started doing the shooting and they were shooting in a way that didn't feel grand enough for a Star Wars film, it seemed like the powers stepped in and were like, listen, just doing a Han Solo prequel is different enough. Maybe we'll just get Ron Howard, a tried and true person in Hollywood, to take the reins from here on out.
It seemed like they have more of an improvisational style.
Yes.
And with these movies, they want them to make decisions very early on in the process, and that didn't seem to pan out. Also, it looked like they added an acting coach for star Alden Ehrenreich really late in the game. It's not uncommon to add an acting coach to the film, but usually that happens early on, which makes you wonder, why did they make that choice?
I bet it's probably, and this is totally speculation, because of their improvisational style. Alden Ehrenreich, who I've seen in movies before, is a very talented actor. And I don't know, he doesn't have the same feeling that the confidence that I'd give someone like Donald Glover to be able to execute that kind of improvisational style.
Oh, Donald Glover could do it.
Right, he can.
He can do it.
And so when you see their other main movie that you point to, 22 Jump Street, it's if you have an improvisational style on set with an irreverent, raunchy comedy like 21 Jump Street, and you have Jonah Hill plus Channing Tatum, who never ceases to impress everyone whenever he tries anything. Like, that seems to work well.
He does impress me.
Also, yeah, it's a very practical action sequence approach that you have in 21 Jump Street. And Lord and Miller also were able to execute a very CGI heavy action sequences in the Lego movie, but they never have done the two together. And it seemed like the way they were shooting, they said there was one day when there were supposed to be 15 different camera setups and they just did 3 or so, where everyone kind of looked around and the folks who work on a Star Wars movie, the crew.
We need 10 more of these.
Well, they're just like, listen, this is still gonna feel and look like a Star Wars movie, right? We want another Rogue One, even though it took a lot of work to get there, and we don't want another Episode 1.
I'm glad that you brought up Rogue One, because I mean, when we're looking at the scope of this new slate of Star Wars films, and conceivably we're gonna see these going on and on and on and on until they're unprofitable, and they are very profitable. But we have seen some bit of, I don't know what the word is.
It's tough.
Disagreement.
Yes.
So with Gareth Edwards, he had a specific vision for Rogue One that was more like a war movie, more dark and gory and upsetting to the emotions. But Star Wars needs to have a Star Wars movie. So it's just like, that was kind of muddled. Edwards was able to work with them. Perhaps Lord and Miller were not. Then we had Josh Trank, who has now become a verb for tranking himself off the movie due to issues with the new Fantastic Four movie, which was not very good and not very strong.
It was terrible.
Leadership
it was so bad. It was such a bad movie.
Yeah.
You watch it, you still don't know what the hell's happening.
It was not a good movie, but apparently
I never turn off a film.
It didn't go well behind the scenes either.
Yeah. Yes, and everyone heard it was a mess, but then people heard that Rogue One was kind of a mess on the way to the finish line. And things like Suicide Squad was a mess on the way to the finish line. Sometimes it turns out
a mess in the theaters.
Right, and that was terrible, and Fantastic Four was terrible, but Rogue One had a lot of problems and reshoots, and I really enjoy that film. That's the one that I'll put on the background.
I like that one a lot.
It seems like the approach, I don't know if we're gonna talk about Glow, the show.
Yeah, we are.
In Glow, there are two creative forces. There's one that wants nuance and specificity, and another one that just wants archetype. And that seems like the same conversation that happens surrounding the Star Wars movies. And it seems like people like Kathleen Kennedy can step in and say, listen, I'm sure that if you're down and dirty in the film, you feel like you wanna make every decision in a specific way to your instincts. But I'm Kathleen Kennedy, I'm in charge of all of this property. I'm in charge of everything Star Wars. And listen, what you might think is a small difference between yours and another Star Wars movie is different enough for me. And if you keep taking it further than that, I have to rein you in. And finally, they just parted ways.
Well, she did say before, if all you're doing is playing it safe, trying to make the same movie over and over again, that's when audiences say, oh, this is a money-making machine. But if it's genuinely in service to the art form and then the franchise concept is being used in a way that's exciting. So it seems like she wants it, maybe she's saying she wants a balance, or maybe she's not really saying exactly what she means by saying that.
Right, so you can never tell if it's like a political statement, but hearing that gives me confidence that at least she was thinking we don't want to keep doing the same thing again. Now it's hard to parse what a studio head says, but at least in this, it seems like she's saying the right things, so her priorities are right, which gives me confidence that she tried everything she could to make it work and finally just said this.
Well, you don't fire people, especially on a project that everyone's watching like this, without considering it seriously for a long time or trying whatever it is to make it work. It just didn't work for whatever reason. Audience, would this movie have been better with Lord and Miller at the helm? What would it have been like? Please let us know your thoughts below, and please like and subscribe for more.